apologizing, I missed it last week. I had every intention of noon of coming up here, and then, I don't know, the next thing
Last
I
week?
knew, it was 4:30 last time. It was 4:30 and,
Well, we're glad you're here today because we have to vote on something, so.
okay.
So this is different than this?
Yeah, that's a little bit of history, so I thought that was kind of neat
I
about
thought you had a copy
Phillipsburg.
for everyone on that. That's interesting.
All the records were in Deer Lodge. They were, all the records at that time, originally they were in Deer Lodge County. They were in
Until
here.
about 1889 or something, we were Deer Lodge County. Then they split it into the three counties, Powell and Deer Lodge, which is Anaconda, right? And Granite.
Yeah.
So theoretically, they hand copied all the records that pertain to our part of the county and transferred them to the new courthouse here. But in point of fact, if you're researching stuff, a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes you have to go over to Anaconda, because that has always been Deer Lodge County. Anyway,
That's interesting, the background.
yeah.
Shall we do introductions? Go ahead, Bill, start with you.
Oh, who am I? I'm
Yes.
Bill A,
Yeah,
the
Bill A.
A-team, right here.
Okay.
I was thinking Ted. Elena Gagliano.
Heidi Hinkle.
So,
Patty Kantich. Okay, who would like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I will move so.
Okay, someone second it? Can I second it? I guess I could. Huh? I second it.
I didn't because I did them, so.
All right, all right. Well, today our agenda is we're gonna discuss the Granite County growth policy. And Bill, you missed it. I'll tell you what I did last week. This is a draft we wanna hand in. They've seen it, they like it, they understand, you know, to the planning board. They understand, coordination, they like it and they want it in.
So is this something we're gonna try to vote on today?
Yes, we did all the corrections already.
Okay, so you guys continue with your meeting, I'll just go right out here someplace and I'll leave.
All right, it's very simple. And then, Scotty was with me, they want to get that in right away, but they also liked the Crook County natural resource policy they have. And they said, well, they have to get this in coordination right away. But this we can work on while they are working on the growth policy. And we could, she said she liked it all, she thought it was great. We could put as much as this in growth policy as we want. So that's what we'll be working on, you know. And everybody can go through it and pick out things they really like, and then we can get it going.
so you're not done if we get this in?
Yeah,
today,
that is different, that's
And that
coordination.
has to be in today.
Yes, it does. Otherwise, unless we have a special meeting again, but there's no reason. We did all our corrections. I corrected it and I sent it out to everybody. And it's just coordination. And then anything that we missed, we can put into this, you know, if we want to add to it later on. So, but she said she really needs that and she likes it. And they really want to go with coordination.
The one with the coordination,
What's that?
the coordination part.
Yeah, just the draft. She likes that. They want to get it in. But she said they like this too. And this can also be added to the growth policy.
Where's
So-
that gonna go, do we know? It's just gonna be in it, the
It
growth
de-
policy?
Yeah, it'll be just an extension.
What
of
is that right there?
This is, remember that Crook County,
Okay, I thought
that
that's-
natural resource policy?
Okay. I thought that's what we did with your condensed version, that's.
No, that's just coordination. This is breaking it down like,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
there's things that we really want to get in there. And this is where we can really,
And
put a
this
lot of
doesn't
meat in
have to
it.
be in.
She said there's no hurry on this. We can work on this while they're working on the growth policy.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. But we should be, you know, each go home and everyone hope kept this, but they should be looking over and like you mentioned, Scotty, you like to see where invasive species, there should be some protection there after forest fires and, you know, the weeds and stuff, and there could be a whole section on that. And on grazing, you know, this thing is just got a lot of things we can go through, so.
Well, you know, I forget which one it was, cause I've been looking. I think it's Beaverhead. Their growth everybody's doing their growth policies. And it was kind of interesting. Beaver Head, I think, had 39 pages of their growth policy. But they had a comprehensive land and water use policy, over 200 pages. That's what that is. That's the comprehensive plan. And Granite County did have one a few years ago.
What do you think about this? Should we add to it or pick things
Well,
out
I
of
think
it
we
and
should
add to
have a
it?
comprehensive land use plan. That
That's
should
what
be
this
in it. The
is,
whole
so-
section should be that.
That's
It's
what
not
they
in there
want.
now.
Yeah, that's what they want. They want us to
How many
work on
pages,
it.
you said over 200 they had?
Over 200
Okay.
I
pages.
wonder how many pages this is.
Because the land
52.
and water
That
use,
seems like a lot.
the land and water use, that's really important. That states everything in a growth policy. Our growth policy, like I said, is a waste of time. Oh, I said that at the planning board meeting that I went to.
I think they want to update it a little bit, you know, and get more in it because there are a lot more issues now.
Well, it's something that I brought up, is either you're gonna just amend the growth policy, which is a waste of time because it stinks, or redo the whole thing with the 2020 census,
You know, that's
because
up to
they have to
them.
do it.
Yeah,
No, it's
I-
not up to them.
To the growth policy people?
That's the
The planning board. I
board.
meant the planning board.
They
Yeah,
come
they're-
up with these things and then they present it to the county commissioners. But it's gotta be given to the people too.
How do we vote on this? Do the people in Granite County, do they vote? Once they come up with a plan, do we get to see it and then vote on it? Is that?
They either
Oh.
approve it, or the people say we want it on a ballot, and that's what we did last time.
How will people see though what the plan is? How will they receive it so they can read it and see what it's about?
Well, at that time, we really didn't have that much of a web presence.
No,
That's why it sucked.
and a lot of people still.
And now we have a web presence. It'll be on there.
So people could go to the internet and read it then.
And then the people that don't have, internet, and there are a lot, they rely on the
I know
newspaper.
Barbara and Larry Clark have a big
Well, it could
ranch
be
in Rock.
advertised and have copies in here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so we vote to put it on the ballot, you're saying that we might want to do that?
well, you tell the commissioners that,
Okay,
we want it on them. But they gotta do it. There's a whole bunch of things they gotta do, just like Phillipsburg. They're gonna have a public hearing on the 4th, I think,
yeah.
on what they wanna add. And then they have to give it to a vote of the people,
Yeah,
or leave it to the people.
that is just coordination, you know, that's what they want.
Right.
But
I've
this
got
is
a-
what they,
I've got a question.
okay,
Coordination on second page. Coordination is a federally mandated process that requires all federal agencies, such as the state, BLM and Forest Service. The state is not a
State's not
federal,
federally.
is not a federal agency. And so my question is, there's a federal law that mandates coordination. Does it mandate that the state coordinate with this, or is it just mandating that the federal?
I think it mandates that the federal coordinate with state and local governments and tribes.
Okay, so we should
I left
X,
out tribes because we don't have tribes.
right, we should X out that state. All federal agencies such as the BLM and Forest Service, we should X out state. And then right in the previous paragraph,
Now let me see that, Bill, what you're doing.
just.
Because I wrote
Second.
this down from a government deal.
Sure. In appropriate cases, to apply as a coordinating agency in all federal decision-making and land use planning process initiated by any federal agency or state. So I have a feeling we should X out or state.
Bill, I didn't make
Sure.
this up. I wrote it off a government deal. They wrote that out that way.
I'm sure, but all I'm saying is,
I think that's right.
we can leave state in there if the federal government is requiring the state to coordinate with us. But I
Yeah, but
don't
it
think
can't do
that's
that.
what it
Okay,
says.
does state work off of NEPA? Does state have to use NEPA?
I don't have a clue.
How about you,
They
Chuck?
use MIPA, don't they?
Right, there's
NEPA.
Montana Environmental,
But they don't use NEPA.
No,
I don't
NEPA
think
is,
so, 'cause they have MIPA.
so,
Yeah, they have their own, okay. think Bill's right. But see, the federal government has to coordinate with the state, local,
Right,
and
the federal
tribes.
government has to coordinate with the
But
state.
federal government can't
And
tell
the
the state.
federal government has to coordinate with the county,
Mhm.
and they've got to coordinate with the tribes. But I don't know that there's any law that says the state has to coordinate with the county.
I don't think there is, that I know.
And moreover, I mean, we're referring to a federal law here, which is good. The federal law mandates that if the county requests coordination, that the agencies, the federal agencies have to coordinate. But I think,
You can still pass this as amended.
Yeah,
so.
how about our constitution though? What does it say in there, that they have to coordinate with, local communities?
The
Our constitution,
Montana
Montana
Constitution?
Constitution,
Well,
I have
what's
it a little bit right there, but I didn't go into detail, I just put,
Sure,
that it had to protect its citizens and all that, you know.
correct. Right,
With
right.
elected officials, county commissioners have a lot of say what happens in the state, you know, and local communities.
Right. I have just kind of gotten the impression, as we've been discussing coordination, it has always been vis-à-vis the federal government. That we wanted the federal agencies, BLM and Forest Service, to have to coordinate with the county. And I'm not sure we've ever really talked about
State,
state. See, and even right in the top here, it says, Granite County to invoke coordination status to influence federal and state land use. Those are two different things, and maybe we should, is there a statute whereby we would invoke coordination, that the state would have to coordinate with the county? We've never really talked about that.
Yeah, no, we didn't. I think we just, you gotta,
So for
strike
the,
that state out all.
for the time being, I think, you know, and maybe we should investigate.
I get to see.
Well, perhaps
in the
so, because the
future.
same wording is in here. This is the Crook County.
does it say state in
It
there?
says,
I think
an
it's all,
appropriate agency to apply as a cooperating agency in all federal decision-making and land use planning processes initiated by any federal agency or state.
Or state
yeah, see, they use it in state.
agency acting in compliance with federal law. It got cut off then, didn't it?
But this is not the same document as that.
Right, but it's taken from that language.
Does it really, is
And-
it that important to take state out of there, or should we leave it in?
Well, certainly, we don't want to
Look it up
call the
and-
state a federal
Scott,
agency, and
is
what we
that
say right here is
Cooperating?
requires
Is that the
all
word that
federal
was used,
agencies,
cooperating?
such as
Oh,
the state, nope.
Here, read
that's
this
just not true.
paragraph
They
here.
are not a federal agency.
okay,
So we definitely should X that out there.
all right.
And then this language right here came from that document, and read that again.
Well, this is a completely separate
Yes,
document.
but
I don't
this-
think this came from that.
This, okay,
Some of the wording.
if I can see that, I believe it exactly copies this language.
I got this out of
right
a
here.
coordination deal.
Right, so when we have a chance, I'd like to, all I'm doing is try to proofread here a little bit. I'm trying to be a secretary.
Okay, this again, thus, based upon the requirements of the federal statutes, including but not limited to the National Environmental Policy Act, the Federal Lands Policy and Management Act, and the National Forest Management Act. The Crook County Court,
Granite
that's
County
the, asserts its ability to coordinate, require consistency reviews, and in appropriate cases to apply as a cooperating agency in all federal decision-making and land use planning processes initiated by any federal agency.
Or
Or state.
State, keep going,
Just a minute.
and we have to add that language in.
Agency acting in compliance,
Agency
acting
acting
in Compliance.
Compliance with federal
law.
So that could cover for that one.
compliance with federal, see, it's important if we're lifting a little language from that thing, that we lift the complete sentence. The complete sentence, initiated by any federal agency or state agency acting in compliance with federal what? Law?
Well, I read you go now.
Acting in compliance with,
Where are we now? Compliance with, cases.
it's either right at the top of it's right at the top of
Thus,
the
based
page.
upon the requirements of the federal statutes, including but not limited, the federal lands policy and the
Right.
national
Keep going, and then
Cook-
you go to the top of the next page.
agency acting in compliance with federal law.
Law is
That's
the
what I
word I'm
forgot
looking
to
for.
put.
Oh, is that when
So
did you
it
just
just-
say
it just-
that?
State fit it for me,
What's the word after?
State, so this is okay to have that? That's
as long as the rest
okay.
goes with it. Let me see if I can read you right, I gotta,
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
so-
could you give it to her?
Yeah, so federal agency, and this is okay, or state agency acting in compliance with federal law.
okay,
That's
Okay.
important.
all right.
And I think we could leave state out of this explanation down here because requires all federal agencies. It's covered up here. There's a special case where the state is acting in compliance with federal law. The state would have to comply. But I don't think we want to call the state a federal agency.
All right.
So I stick with, let's just X that out. Let's add this. And
I think
you see
I
where
had-
I said, okay,
I think I had
okay?
state out, but we put it in last time.
Sure, sure, but.
When we put that Montana, see, when we put,
MIPA.
the Montana Environmental Act. See, a lot of these laws are in there. So that's why I said state, Montana.
So now you take a vote on amending this.
See, because we're under Montana Environmental Policy Act, and that includes a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
That's why I said state.
If you
That's why I
want to
put it state.
include the state down here, you have to say something like this. This would be a for instance. Coordination is a federally mandated process that requires all federal agencies such as the BLM and Forest Service or the state of Montana acting in compliance with federal law to sit down on an equal basis. So we could add state in as long as
So I
we're-
have to put that back down there and then.
well, you
say-
could have it in both places. You could have it in both places. But if
You
you're
don't
gonna.
think just putting state there, they would figure it out up
if you-
there on that?
No, because if you put state here, it says federal agencies such as the state. That is just not true. The
Alright.
state is not a federal agency.
So you can
Thank
either
God.
change that other stuff
You
in
can
there,
either
or
leave
just
state
take-
out, or
just
you
take
could,
state out.
you could say federal agencies such as, and name them, BLM and Forest Service. And then you could say, or the state of Montana, or any state, or any Montana state agency acting in compliance with federal law. That's, if you're gonna lift that language there. So,
Okay. Let's just leave state out then, because I
I'm
didn't have it there to
thinking-
begin with. I only put it in there because we
Sure.
put
sure.
that in there, Montana Environmental
So-
Policy.
Other than that little bit of secretary
I
work
can do
there,
it.
the whole thing looked great to me.
All right. Is
So,
everybody, should we vote
what?
on these changes then?
Yeah, you just vote on the amendments and,
Okay, and I will change it and get it into her then.
no, you
Well,
don't change it.
It's already changed right here, and all you have to do is when you
Just
give
initial.
them a copy of what I think we're going to approve here, you should probably, instead of my chicken scratches, you should do it in your
I'm gonna redo the
Well-
whole thing.
well printed out.
I got it on my
Patty
computer.
Cambridge,
I'll
right,
redo the
yes.
whole thing, so, or the corrections.
So do you want a motion on?
Yes, we
Okay.
need to,
And I'll move that we approve this, this document
coordination.
right here, the
Okay,
coordination.
draft, we call it the
document.
draft. So,
Okay, anybody second that?
I second.
Okay, and then you want to take a vote.
shall we have a vote then?
All in favor? I'm sorry, I took the words out of your mouth.
Go ahead, I'm terrible on this stuff.
Now,
All
you're-
in favor,
discussion?
raise your hand.
No discussion?
What's
Or
that?
do we
Oh,
have discussion later?
okay, let's vote on it.
When you read this, if you're gonna be doing it almost word for word, okay, they're using the word cooperating agency in all federal decision-making. Okay, so now I had it, now I can't find it again.
What page are you on?
Federal decision-making. And land use planning processes initiated by any federal agency or state agency acting in compliance. So it's a cooperating agency could be a state agency involved in federal decision-making,
Okay.
right?
What that sentence says is, it says Granite County asserts its ability to coordinate, blah, 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 and in appropriate cases, to apply as a cooperating agency. The county
Right.
asserts its ability to apply as a cooperating agency. No problem there. The county could, in some instances, apply to be a cooperating agency. The language is really good there, I think.
Yeah,
It
so
just
that's why
says-
it goes on, or state, federal agency, or state agency acting in compliance with
Correct.
federal law. So,
I like the language, especially after we just add the rest of the sentence. That
oh,
those-
so that's gonna
those
be
people
the
have.
language in there.
Yep.
Okey
Is
doke.
that okay with you, Elena?
Yeah, so the only thing is, okay. We
So
just
if you
added
wanna
that
take a
little
look at
thing
what
at the
I did, I just
tackle.
added what you just read
Okay,
off the second page, and then we're just gonna X the word state out
Out.
of the next paragraph because the state is not a federal agency.
yeah,
Okay. Any,
that sounds good.
Should we go ahead and,
Sure.
You got a vote, and you're voting on the.
we've got a vote, we've got a motion and a second on the floor.
So
So
are
I
we-
think you
And,
should
and,
ask.
and the motion is,
The motion is to accept this and pass this on as it is written,
With changes,
with changes.
yeah.
And so if there isn't any more discussion, you want to call
should we?
for a vote?
Yes, I would like to call for a vote.
Yeah,
And you would say then all in favor?
All
aye.
in favor? See, I need a lesson on this.
So
Okay, Elena, you're gonna go for it?
I'm just,
Yeah.
you know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
I have only one finger I use a lot of.
Okay, well, good, it is passed.
Me too, but I would never wave that at you.
I'd wave back, you know that.
Okay,
I just do.
now, Bill, did you
Don't do
get
it near
one
a
of these?
church, it'll get you into trouble these
Did you
days.
get the Crook County
Yes.
overview?
Did he just sexually harass me?
Did I?
Was he making terror?
No, no, no.
Oh.
I think you misinterpreted his comment.
Terrorist attack. I
Anyway,
was just asking a question, is that the one that you use?
Right, well, yeah, that's
Sure
the
you do.
one.
God bless you
The
anyway.
third one.
did you look this over?
Yeah.
Okay, they did too, our planning board. They really liked the things in there, and they said they want this in right away, but why they're working on
Oh, these
our,
are yours.
What does it-
what do you call it, not the, the planning board, they work on our growth policy plan, there we go. They want us to work on this natural resource policy. They liked everything in there. They said
Okay.
it could be as big as we want it, and as much as we want it,
What
and
I'd
whatever
like
you
to-
wanna put in.
What I'd like to do then is, I'd like to go back, it's on my bedstand, and reread that whole thing.
Yes, pick
And-
out what you like.
And I might like quite a bit of it.
They said we could use the whole thing if we wanted to. They loved it. It could be as much as we want.
A quick aside, where's my buddy Sue today, I wonder?
She's out calving.
Calving,
Yeah, it's
calving,
rough
and
calving.
dealing with flooded
And
roads.
flooding.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, we got that done. Anything else to talk about the growth policy?
no, but you have a homework assignment for me and maybe for everybody else, is to go look at that natural resource Crook County thing and be prepared. I'm guessing,
Mhm.
next time,
Yeah, yeah.
to get into some nuts and bolts of
Right.
resource.
And it doesn't have to be just this, like Evelina, if you've been into other growth policies, things you found, bring it, you know. It doesn't have to be
Well, the
just
thing
this.
is too, when they have their planning board meeting, somebody better be there.
Mhm.
Nobody was there,
Okay.
except me recording it when they were
When do they
talking.
usually meet?
The first Thursday of the month, is it? I think it's the
Thursday.
first,
And what
because
time
they
do
already
meet?
met last week,
What time did they meet?
6 o'clock.
Oh, at night.
Do you have a feel for who's on the planning board?
What do you mean, do I have a feel? Yeah, do I know?
That would be, yeah,
Oh, John Spaeth,
Spoon, I call him,
okay, Spoon, Gail Leeper,
okay,
AJ Makovich or something from Rock Creek,
AJ Rock Creek,
yeah,
Tom Rue.
Tom Rue,
Is John McDonald on it still or not?
no.
Okay,
And then, God, what's his name? Tom, and I can't, he's been on it forever. He's, I think over by Rock Creek,
Hood? You don't mean Tom
not
Hood?
Tom Hood. God, I can't think of his name.
somebody besides AJ Rock Creek, a different Rock Creek?
Yeah, he's, Lower Rock Creek, Upper Rock Creek, there's two different ones, I guess.
Okay.
Wait a minute, wait, let me think.
Hmm.
Oh,
I'll check on my way out the door today, and somebody will know at the clerk and
Oh,
recorder, or
Linda,
Mrs. Hale is on there?
Mike Cahill might know.
not
Oh,
really.
wait, well,
She's
see,
not.
that
This is-
was then,
Back in 2012.
and this wasn't necessarily.
Oh, but the one that I'm thinking of is on there.
This
Tom Sanders?
Oh, Brock Creek, yeah, Tom Sanders, he's our neighbor out there.
Spaeth, CJ Pitcher, maybe not, Jerry Jensen, Sue Hale, Denise Forbes, Jim Christensen, Tom Rue, but AJ Mahanovich, he's on though, right? Mahanovich.
Yeah. Tom Rue.
Do you
I think
know
it's
how many-
Jim Christensen. I think
Maybe
that's
Jim?
him. Or Tom no, it's Tom Sanders. Okay, John McDonald isn't on, Jerry Johnson isn't on, Susan Hale, I think she's just not gonna be on anymore.
Okay, I might just check with, check downstairs.
Or
Alina, where-
Or Linda, you can go into the planning board right over there. That's where Linda is. She's the planning board director.
And where does she have her office?
She's right on this floor.
Go past
And is
the
she
ladies'
there
room.
today?
She
Yeah.
has
It
been
looked
there
like,
in the
it looked like
past,
she
although.
was there, the light was on.
Okay,
Alina, where do they meet usually, because there's quite a few.
Right here.
Oh, right here.
You'll probably have to go to the next meeting anyway,
Mhm.
to present this,
planning
and maybe
boards.
Bill.
Because that's what they were kind of waiting for FMAC. They didn't even know what FMAC stood for. Yeah,
Would you go
we-
to the meeting, the planning board meeting?
Would I go to one?
Huh? Would you go to the next
I'm
one?
not, I'm just gonna give it to her. I'm not gonna go to a meeting. I'll just give it
You
to
don't
her.
have to go there and present
No,
it to
I'll
her?
just give it to her.
Yeah,
Okay,
Phillipsburg did the same thing. They just gave it the Phillipsburg changes.
okay, and I'm gonna put my homework assignment down here.
Good.
Homework
That's what happens when you get on these committees.
from, do you use a Y or an I?
Aye. Come on in.
What do we call this that we just updated? What is
A
it?
draft, I call it a draft,
A draft of what?
coordination,
It's our
Okay.
coordination recommendations
yes,
to the
planning board.
planning board, okay? And is it Crook County, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Cook County. And it did pass down there too. At first it didn't, and it did. I thought, oh, that's so much work for people to do and then not have it pass.
Here, if you want to take a look at what Phillipsburg is contributing, that's what they gave to the planning board, and that has the corrections on it. But that's how they're presenting it
Where did you get this one in?
at the planning board meeting.
They passed this out then.
Yeah.
So in 2020 or 2021, are they going to come up with a new one of these?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So we're getting right in on the ground floor of trying to make some good recommendations on the next growth policy.
See, Bill, they have a choice. They can amend it, just put these amendments in, or they can do the whole thing with the new census coming out.
And if that passes, that gives the commission the ability to coordinate with the Forest Service. If it's not in there, can't do it.
One thing she said, when we do get this in, we have to have a vision statement, right there, probably about Granite County and kind of like theirs. But someone has to write one of those up for us.
Yeah, the vision is, what do you think the vision is?
Yeah. But she said
Where
on
do
ours.
you want to
She
be
said on ours we
5,
have to have
10,
a
or
cover
20
page.
years from now? Where does that sound familiar from?
Well, no, those are right,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that
not
would be good.
regulatory.
Yeah.
It's not regulatory. Do you understand that? The growth policy is not regulatory.
Yes.
It's just a vision. So even if coordination is in there, it doesn't mean that the county has to comply with it. It's just a vision.
Well, it would be.
And then
the-
everybody else decides, well, how do we make this work? Then there's got to be ordinances and
But it would be
resolutions
the county
passed.
commissioners that could make coordination work, though. They could draw from it.
They
right?
can know it now.
Yeah, I know they can. But
So
remember,
there.
Carrie White said it's better to
Okay.
have it in the growth policy?
You have to have it.
You have to have, it has to be in
It
there.
has to be
Yeah.
in the growth policy.
Elena, my dear,
Don't be nice now after what you did,
after I was non-nice,
Doesn't that sound patronizing to you?
dear.
I don't think you can make up for that. There are additions and subtractions to this. Is this something that has happened recently? This is sort of a revised document that the town is thinking about submitting for the next growth plan?
Right, this is the new one. The original one that they sent, which was before March meeting, the planning board went over it, Linda went over it and said, you gotta do some changes in this. So she sent it back, and they sent it back, the town, with those changes.
Sure.
And that's
Which
what,
document are you talking about?
This is just the town is having some input to the county as far as things they think should be in the growth,
right,
the next growth policy.
right.
And I'm guessing the town had some input
Exactly,
into this.
yeah.
Okay, I'll give that back.
So a lot of this statement is in there now, but they just kind of made some changes adding to it.
So just back to the previous subject, not the one you're thinking I'm going to address. There's kind of a cute ad on TV, and this gal and her son have been to the grocery store. And I don't know what it's an ad for, either a car or something. But anyway, at the end of the ad, she opens up the back of the minivan, and there's a bunch of big grocery bags there. And she tells the little kid to bring the grocery bags into the house. You've seen this one, I'll bet. Anyway, and the little kid then is bringing these 2 great big grocery bags into the house. And the mom says something to her kid like, "Look at my big man with all those groceries," or something. And then he says, "Don't patronize me."
I saw that.
So I said, "Elena, my dear," I thought right at the time, you should have probably said, "Don't patronize me." I got a big kick out of
I'm
that.
not as quick as that
It
little
reminded me of
kid.
that exchange, all right. Very good.
Well, are we ready for new business?
I got a question.
All right.
I told you that I got the flash drive, and the clerk and recorder are now storing our minutes
Yes.
on the flash drive, and I sent her June, and I will send all the way June, all the way through now March. I had a copy of the one that Becky did for, I guess it was March last year. But I am missing, I think April was the one that Becky never did. And then I don't have one for May either. And I was wondering if anybody here happened to have a copy of the minutes possibly for April or May? Or did we just not have them because Becky didn't do them?
I don't have it, so
Well, I know one, she said they were in a box somewhere, so I don't know where that went, so.
Did they ask you for that, Heidi?
Well,
If you
she
wanted
just
it?
said she doesn't seem to care if I send her what we have. And I
Yeah.
sent her March of
You
last
should only be
year,
responsible for what you've been doing.
and then I sent her June through
March and June.
current.
I'll look by my bedstead,
Okay.
and I agree, it sounds like the consensus here is, it's fine if we can't.
Yeah, I think she's okay with it, but if there was one for May,
Yeah,
I would like to have it, in the file.
I don't think I've ever saved a copy.
But I'm
of
missing
that.
April and May, and I know last year there was something about Becky never did one for one of those.
She kept the notes, but she never put it together.
Oh, she never put it together, okay.
Okay.
But if anybody happens to see they have an April or a May of 18,
All right,
let me know, send it to me.
okay,
If not, I'm just gonna let it go.
all right.
You always can put the reference to the YouTube, because I filmed every single one of them.
Yeah, it goes on a flash drive. She's got a little flash drive, and
Well, the link can go on there real simple. For the minutes, refer to that, and then they have to go to the.
I'll have to sit through the whole meeting again.
yeah, I don't want,
Yeah.
I know I
Isn't that
could go
tough?
through it, but I don't wanna do it all up, so I thought, I wasn't even employed at that time, so.
So all the boards are gonna be doing that, and the committees?
What's that?
All the boards and the committees are gonna be doing that? They're gonna be up on the website?
We're supposed to be. Well, on the flash drives.
Well, the flash
It's almost
drive,
like they're keeping it as a file. Is
on
what-
a flash drive?
That's what she had me get I bought a flash drive, and every one I send her, she puts it on that flash drive. So they have a copy of our minutes.
And then if I wanna see it, what do I do?
I don't know. You come
The
to me, I
flash
have
drive-
it.
The flash drive is when you stick it in the computer and you copy it from that onto wherever you're copying it onto the computer.
Sure, so do you have a laptop?
Yeah,
So I'm guessing that one
Yeah, you just
of
take.
many ways that you could get your hands on all that would be to go, the flash drive is in the custody of the clerk and recorder. Go in there and say, I'd like to copy that flash drive right now onto my laptop, thank you very much.
I already have that on my laptop. I'm talking about it's gotta be on the Granite County webpage showing what we've got there. I mean, do you see, every county, I went through this yesterday at the meeting, they have such a better webpage, and everything is on that webpage. So and the committees, the boards and everything, you look at the board and you can see their minutes and everything else.
Well, I couldn't find, for Powell County, I couldn't find the minutes.
Every county's different. You can't even find the agenda for Powell County.
You know,
It
so every
sucks.
county doesn't.
Look at Missoula. You wanna talk about the stuff on the Missoula?
Yeah, but they're so big.
And then there's
too.
Broadwater County. Broadwater's that poor one that doesn't have a lot of
Well, their
money.
taxes
Even
are
they
so
have a
high
better
there,
one.
They can probably afford to pay somebody that all they do is make sure that that website is good to go.
Have you, Elena, gone and seen their websites and read
I
them?
had a website once. It's no big deal. You can put it on there. It's no big deal. I'm sorry, for the record, and I already said it, this county, when you want people to know what's going on, you go out of your way to do it. And you don't want people to know what's going on, you make it very hard for them to find information.
They need to hire somebody to do all this, it's,
They do, they pay them a lot of money.
and who's that does this for our county?
What is it, DIS is one that does a bunch of this stuff, and then there's the one that does the archives that they don't do anything to. Mike was the one that puts the agendas up, so if he can do the agendas, anybody can put up the information.
True that.
Any more else on, I got something I want to say on new business, unless anybody else has something to say.
I'm good on new business.
We're supposed to maybe meet with collaborative groups, other ones, or invite them in with speakers, and I just talked to Sean Steinbach, he's head of the DNRC over there in Anaconda. I talked to him today, and he's gonna speak in Anaconda it's an environmental group over there about the state of the forests around here. And I would like him to come and talk to the county commissioners also. But there's this other guy I would like to have come talk to us. His name is Tom Schultz. He spoke at the International Logging Congress in Spokane, Washington. My son went to it. And he's the Vice President for Governmental Affairs and Community Outreach. He works for Idaho Forest Group. And he said that the Deer Lodge National Forest, and so did Sean Steinbach, that we are the worst forest in the nation right now for not being sustainable. More trees are dying than growing. It's really bad here in our forest. But anyway, I would like this guy to come talk and have the county commissioners come listen. And would you guys like to have a speaker come to our group? These guys are good. And also Brian Larango is good. And I asked Sean Steinbach, and he would come talk too.
Could
But-
we put you on the agenda and you come into the commission and tell us
And
this,
ask
and-
about
and
this,
maybe
yes.
we can get a meeting set up,
Yeah.
public meeting,
Yeah,
notified.
yeah, I'd have to call these people. and
Maybe
set
ask
up-
Cameron to come to that meeting as well.
Yes, well, see, I want the Forest Service there. I want, if we're supposed to advise the Forest Service on what to do, with the forest, we need to have some people to tell them what's going on there.
How are you,
so.
Cam, getting on these days? That's
There's
actually,
some rumors.
that's just a rhetorical question I didn't really want to answer.
I was gonna have Mr. Cameron come talk, I thought, well, maybe, let me go. But do you know Sean Steinbach at all for the DNRC? He's the one, I want him to talk on that good neighbor nature, and I got to talk today, Good Neighbor Authority. He's the one that promoted it in Montana, so
Patty,
he
if
could
you
really
get a
explain
guest
it.
speaker coming to speak to us,
Yes,
or if they're coming, a good one to speak to the commission, and we should try to be there just as observers,
yes,
I will try doubly hard not to forget the meeting.
good. Now, should we open it up to the public, or should we just, to the whole public? And we should invite other collaborative groups too, to come listen if
Well,
they like.
anybody, just advertise it. and-
Yeah,
Advertise it for the
yeah.
public.
These are really neat speakers, though. They do
Okay.
a really neat
So
job,
maybe
so.
next time or the time after that, there might be a really neat speaker. I
Well, I
like
don't
the
know,
idea.
I don't know if it's this meeting. but
Oh,
go
it'll,
talk to the
oh no, it'll
commissioners,
be a
and
while.
Maybe we can set up something.
And we'll have it like at the museum. We'll have coffee and cookies, make it a fun evening for everyone.
We could have it here.
We could have coffee and cookies right
We could
here.
do that here too, yeah.
Yeah, I think the museum charges, so,
$25.
oh, is that it?
I rented it one time for Kevin for a Yu-Gi-Oh card game, so he
Not
had all these
anymore,
kids
it's
come and
not.
play cards, so.
Not
I think
anymore,
that'd
it's
be
not.
wonderful,
Do you?
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
But
I
we're
heard
supposed
it's
to be doing this as a
$100.
group, so. And I have good contacts. with
I know I
people.
paid for it
We
for,
could vote on it. to
Well, you
have-
got a
Something
budget
months.
anyway.
Get it on the
Right?
agenda.
Okay.
yeah, we
but
do
then
have a
you're gonna have to
budget.
Talk to the commissioners and tell us.
So what do I do? Do I go talk to a county commission meeting and say, I would like to propose this to get some speakers in for our FMAC group? I mean, like that?
Do you know what I did?
Comment time.
I did about the CSKT compact. When I had a whole bunch of people come, I put an ad in the newspaper. We were at the museum, and the ad was what it was about, to discuss the CSKT compact. They also were on the agenda, the speakers, to talk to the commissioners. And then there was the meeting at night.
How was it?
A lot of people did attend.
Yes.
Mhm.
People will come.
But it
We
was
have good
advertised in the
Maybe we could
newspaper.
cut through some red tape, maybe Chuck could just carry our
Yeah,
idea to the
yeah.
commission and say, hey, in the group, Patty Candich has offered,
It needs to be on the agenda.
I don't know, just ask them if that's something that they would like us to do.
I
And then-
think-
We can talk to them.
I think
They
as
want
chairman,
it.
I could do this. I don't have to have permission from the
No,
county
you
commissioners.
don't.
No, I can
No,
just
you
say,
can do it on your own.
oh, what we're doing, we're inviting you guys to come.
Oh.
So why, we don't have to be on it. We just plan it.
Sure, if we
And-
have it, if the speaker comes to speak to our group, then it doesn't have to be on the county agenda,
Yeah.
but we could invite the commissioners to
Yeah,
attend if they
yes.
wanted.
Vote
Sure.
on it and do it.
That,
Yeah. Should we put this up for a vote then? How many would like to have a speaker come? And we invite
and
the
have Patty do all the
community?
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I move,
Go ahead.
I so move.
I second.
Oh, you so
And
moved.
just for correction, again, they've increased the prices for the museum,
Okay, I didn't hear this, how much?
$100.
$100.
And that's what we got a budget for, that we
Okay.
can cover.
What's nice about that, you have the kitchen, if you want coffee and.
Yeah, I
you
think
don't
it's,
have
that's
to-
where I
Yeah, it's
had
nice, you
it.
got all
I
the
paid for
chairs
the
and-
whole thing
Well,
out of
we
my
put money in our
pocket.
budget.
Yeah,
Now, I would probably, this guy, he comes from Idaho, so he would need a place to stay, but I would offer my cabin. Is that legal to do that, or?
of course you can.
I don't, well, I didn't know if I'm,
Only if you
Yeah.
don't charge them.
yeah, I won't, yeah, I won't charge
And if you're
it.
not gonna share the
So he
bed
can
with
stay in
him
my
for other
Halloween cabin,
things.
so
Which is a pretty nice
it's
accommodation.
very nice, yes. I'm adding on to that, by the way.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to have you get a speaker
Okay,
before our
maybe
group.
2 speakers too,
And, sure, and invite the commissioners to come and listen.
yeah, and the
So
public too.
you should
so.
call for a vote, I think.
I would like a vote on this, please. How many would like to vote on this?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, it's
unanimous.
unanimous, so we are going to plan this then. I would have to, he's the hard one to get a hold of, because he goes around the country. I mean, he's really a big shot. He just, Kevin went to that Intermountain Logging Conference, and, oh, they learned so much, you know, they come from all over the Northwest, and,
usually they have a fee for going somewhere.
yes, I will have to find that out.
Mhm.
Mhm. But we got money, don't we? That's what it's for.
That's
You
right.
know,
And
we-
you could pay their mileage too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Question. When you first started talking, you said a speaker's name, but I missed it.
It is Tom Schultz.
Okay, I got that one, but it had been before him.
Oh, Sean Steinbach from the
Okay.
DNRC. He's the one that was very instrumental in the Good Neighbor Authority, getting that started. He works for the state. He used to work for, he was a forester for Sun Mountain Logging. He came out today to see us because Bernie Novak out there, he has 3 trees that are on state land, they're leaning over in the water, and Bernie's bridge is just down the way, and he's worried it's gonna fall in and then take his bridge out, which it could, you know, so they came
Bernie
and,
is a dandy, isn't he a dandy?
I love him. And then they went and got Kevin to see if we could do it, but, I don't know if we're gonna go up there or not to do it, but. Well,
Commission just approved a resolution against the CSKT and promoting
the water
they'll
company,
be in the paper hopefully.
good,
And we're sending it all over the place, all the congressmen, senators, and the counties. And it's really well worded.
Oh, good.
It's,
did Kate ever write a letter, you know, to the, be a
no,
guest column Missoulian? She said she would, and then Slaughter said he would back it up, so they would have to put it in,
Yeah.
he would sign it. That would be really important.
mhm.
I can't believe Missoula is doing all this CO2 stuff, you know, Green Deal. Oh,
But if we lose that one on the CSKT,
that's
this
really
place is
bad.
gone. This place,
Did-
the whole lifestyle is gone.
Did they say that Steve Daines, that he is kind of on the fence with that, or?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
Oh, that's a really bad one. Is there any more new business?
Not new business, but I forgot to bring it up yesterday. Did you ever discuss having the meeting in the commissioner's office instead of
Well,
up here downstairs
I don't like
across the
that
street
idea.
and all over?
You know, I mean, it's not any bigger than, hardly than this. And there's
But at least
actually
we
less
know
room
where
in
it
that
is.
room. And, you know, I mean, we leave papers there. I don't like it. I don't like the idea. I mean, this is great. Go
Where do you think the
downstairs.
airport meets?
Hmm?
Where do you think the airport board meets?
Yeah, I know they meet there.
So?
But, you know, the more that people, I mean, there's stuff all over the table. You got, you know, somebody be clearing it off and,
Right, this seems more like our room here,
I
rather
like it,
than
airy.
somebody else's
Well,
room.
it is nice to be our room, but it's either up here, downstairs, then we made a mistake, and yes, it's gonna be up here, downstairs, and even correcting it today. I mean, suppose it was suppose we did a public, we really wanted the public to come to our meeting. They're gonna go downstairs, they're gonna go upstairs, there's no signs, nothing.
But if
right?
they go downstairs, Mike Cahill would direct them up here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that if they came up here and nothing was going on, I mean, it's just one building here, right?
That's just, I
I
mean,
like having our own
I don't
little
know.
room, you know.
She
which
just
is
doesn't like
usually-
walking up and down the stairs.
Well, I got to go all the way down and then come back up and then come up here. So it's probably good for me. I was huffing and
Do we have to vote on this?
No, we
or-
don't.
Okay.
What the hell?
It's noted though, what you said.
Just do whatever, you know.
It's duly noted. Okay, any public
The
comment?
commissioners do whatever, so
Yes,
why
no
not?
public.
Point
Oh,
of-
good,
point
Scotty
of
always
order.
has good stuff.
I believe that if you're going to invite speakers to attend, and if they charge a fee, that you will then have to bring it before this group again to get a vote
Okay,
to approve it in order to avoid getting yourself into trouble.
can we do that right now, vote on that, something like that?
How do you know how much it's gonna be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think,
it might be a lot too, I don't know what these speakers charge.
yeah.
When you're
Don't
dealing
worry.
with some, I'm sorry.
You
I
don't
will
want to
email
necessarily
him.
approve to spend half your budget
No, we don't
on
want
a
that.
speaker.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta be careful on this, cause some of them do charge like,
Right?
I'll email him,
What
I
if
got
he's-
his email
What if he's
address.
charging what Slick Willie charges?
Boy,
I mean,
I
that
don't
could be
know.
like $500,000 or $1 million.
We'd have to do it to him just half
I
of,
think what you could do is, if you wanted to discuss dates with these people and let them know that they can plan on that
okay,
pending the approval of the.
okay. I will email him, I will see what he charges, what dates are open for him.
I'm just
that we're
trying to
interested.
avoid you getting into potential
Thank you.
trouble.
Sure,
Well,
and so
that,
at our next meeting,
yes,
on the agenda would be
I
a
should know by
report
then.
from you.
yes, I will have a
And then we
report.
could vote on whether or not to spend the $500,000
That's
Uh-huh.
to
if it's
get
gonna be worth
Bill
it.
Clinton in here to
Yeah.
straighten us all out.
Okay. Any more public comment? Or, yeah, is there any more? I guess that's. All right. Well, the next meeting agenda will still be, a report from me on Tom Schultz. And
So
more
what are
on
you
the
gonna talk
growth
about?
policy.
So you're gonna talk about the growth policy
Yeah,
next time, too?
well, we gotta get
Oh,
moving
yeah,
on
you
that.
gotta get moving.
Yeah, we gotta get moving on that. And,
So at a minimum, on the agenda next time will be more growth policy discussion, especially after I do my homework.
yes,
And Patty will have a report on who might be available and what they would cost.
yeah.
Beautiful.
What was the other guy's name? Sean?
Sean Steinbach, Stein, I can't remember how to spell his name.
I put down BAUCK, but I don't even know if that's correct.
Sean Steinbach, BAUK, something like that.
Maybe just BAUK.
So you're gonna retype the coordination
Oh, yes,
and give
I'm
it,
just gonna give it to them. I'll just, since we voted on it, I'll make the corrections. I'll send you guys all a copy, online, and I'll just run it into, Linda
Sweet.
Bach.
So who is gonna get this stuff to, are you getting this stuff to Margie for the agenda then?
Oh, 'cause she isn't here to do it, is she?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I can send it to her.
and then the date.
What is the date for May?
Look on your cell phone. Anybody got a
I
cell
don't
phone?
have
I don't have one.
so.
Oh, I got it, it's May
I turned off my
8th.
phone.
I believe it's just a minute. I just made our arrangements. We have this room for May, because the 10th is Friday, the 9th is Thursday, the 8th is, it's May 8th.
Might not be.
Because we're visiting Jet on the
There's a
9th.
calendar up there
Which
if
is a
anybody can see
Thursday.
that far.
I'll run over there.
I just did it with with them.
Is it the
Well,
14th?
we just
The
went.
second, no, wait, what is it, the third Wednesday
No,
of
I
the
thought they
month?
were asking what the date
Second.
was.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was addressing.
It'd be the 8th. The
Yeah.
first Wednesday's the 1st, the second Wednesday in May is the 8th.
Okay.
Is that when we do it, the second? 8th. Well, I'd like to make a motion to get new chairs for those poor jurors. Have you guys ever sat on those chairs over there?
I did once.
One's ready to rock off.
Yeah, she looked at the calendar, it's 8.
8, yeah, 8.
I'm probably late on that,
We found a calendar,
but, oh, good, good.
so that's all right.
I just went next door.
Okay, it'll be May 8th. And we gotta start thinking too, how we want to advise our county commissioners on forest management, isn't that
That's
what we're
what
here
he
for?
Well, yeah, and then
The
you get
fire
on the
season's
agenda.
coming up.
Yeah, I know, I'm
The
thinking
fire
about
season's
that.
coming up.
Then you get
and-
on the agenda to
yeah.
give them an update, like all the other ones
You
do.
could do that.
What's that?
You could do that.
Do
and,
what? I didn't
We could
hear.
do a resolution
Uh,
about fires or whatever.
mhm. What did you say, Elena? You said something?
Getting on the agenda, their
For next
agenda,
time, or the county commissioner's agenda?
the county commission's agenda, and giving them an update of what we've come up with and decided what we're doing.
Okay, but we should talk about what we want for this summer.
Right, and I think we'd wanna, my view is we'd wanna have them advised maybe by June for
Easily,
sure,
yeah.
because then hopefully winter will have turned into summer.
Don't count on it.
So
Did you
want-
know we're coming into a grand minimum? In the 1600s, they learned, they would know when a climatic change was gonna happen on the earth. Anytime you see spots on the sun, it's called a minimum. And we are coming into a grand one now, and it means cooler temperatures. It happens every 11 years, every 70 years, and every 80 years. But they've known since the 1600s when there's gonna be a climatic change. So we're coming into a cooling trend now. But they said because it's been so warm, we may not notice it, so, I don't know, it seems pretty cold to me, so.
So do we want that on the agenda then to advise county commissioners on fire season?
Oh,
We'll talk
we should
about
be
that
discuss-
next time?
Let's talk about that
Yeah.
next time.
Well, you probably should
what our
talk about
plans
this
are.
time,
Do you wanna do it right now? We could,
you know, because summer's coming up maybe.
yeah, we could,
We'd have to have time to do something. And
well, I
I'm
know
not the
one,
one to bring it up because
Right,
everybody knows my opinion.
as far as I'm concerned, the summary of our advice to the commissioners should be something you said several meetings ago, which is, simply said, Forest Service should make every effort to put out every fire, man-made or natural, that happens, with the idea that some are gonna get away.
that's what
And
Chuck
then
said,
you
yeah.
could, you know, you could modify that, but that's basically, I think that's a good policy for them. And then if one gets away from you and it's up in the Pintler Wilderness area, well, then maybe, you know, you wouldn't throw 1,000 people and 5 slurry bombers at it. Whereas if one's bearing down on town here, maybe you'd put a lot of resources into stopping it. But you'd at least do something about every fire.
You know, it isn't just the fire,
That's-
it's the watershed that's
Well,
being
some
destroyed
of you
too.
can come in and tell the commissioners about that because I think they're tired of hearing about.
Chuck would be, you'd be good,
Yeah.
you know, to come in.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
talk.
just kind of a rule of thumb that we'd like to see the commissioners, that should be their advice to
And
the
then,
Forest
then we
Service.
could do a resolution to that effect and give it to the Forest Service.
The commission could,
Yeah.
yeah.
We do a resolution in here, you mean?
No, the commissioners.
For the
So you
commissioners.
guys come in, so one of you
With
guys
our
or something
ideas.
came in
and
and
then-
told us
All right,
and say, we would like
this
this.
is our advice.
and This is our advice.
Mhm.
Then I would make a motion there that we do a
All
resolution.
right.
And
Has the commission actually requested formally of the Forest Service that they wish to be included in a coordinating and cooperating way?
No,
Have they done that yet? No, so it's jumping the gun to have the commission write a,
no,
A
I was thinking
recommend-
about it anyway, but this would just
yeah,
enforce that.
the commission,
I mean, we could do it on our own. It'd mean a whole lot more if somebody came in and said, this is what we want. This is what
Sure.
the people want. And then I could make a motion, well, I wanna do a resolution.
Okay, we'll get this.
So should it be put on the commissioner's agenda?
Yeah, it has to be on the agenda.
yeah.
So who wants to do it? And I could,
Bill would be very good for that.
what-
But bring up the floods too, the catastrophic floods because of the watershed that's burned off 200,000 acres.
why both of
It's
you
very
should be there.
costly.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be powerful.
It is so costly, and we're gonna have more floods, and I'm looking at Oregon right now. Oregon had big fires last year. The flooding down there is
Well,
just
we
terrible.
had pretty good floods 2 years ago, but I can tell you
Yeah.
what caused it mostly. I mean, 3 days solid of rain.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt health.
Strip the snow right out of the, and,
Yeah.
you know, there really isn't much for clear cuts or deforestation going up Douglas Creek, and it ripped out of there, holy
Really
mackerel,
bad.
you know? And
Yeah.
not that it might have been worse if it was all clear cut up there.
Yeah. It would have, you know, ours comes from the Middle Fork, you know, Moose Lake up that way. We almost lost our bridges last year. Our bridges come on an island. Never in 48 years did the water ever come up on that island. It did last
Yeah.
year. But see, your soil becomes hydrophobic after a fire. It just,
Sure.
it washes right off. It won't soak in, no trees, you know. And the Coquille Valley where I grew up, it was a beautiful valley, dairy and all that. The heavy logging every year, it's a big lake out there because the trees aren't there to, you know, to soak it up. But yeah, we need to do this though, because that's what we're here for. We've been here on, how long we been here now? Over a year?
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
getting,
I think March was the first one
Yeah.
last year.
Well, what I'm saying about the agenda, being on the agenda, is after the meeting that we have monthly, we get on the agenda and we report back
What
to
we're
them what
doing.
we did.
Okay, the reason we haven't done it so far, we haven't done anything, but now we have. We're getting something approved.
Well, you
to go to
did
the-
come.
Yeah,
Remember that one time when you got up there and you said, I'd like to give you what we're doing?
yeah,
That should have been on the
Exactly.
agenda.
Yeah,
That wasn't on
yeah,
the
you could say
agenda.
that, And then,
All right.
and then go into the fire thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Do you wanna talk to Mike, or you want me to, or do you want?
You can handle it. You mean get it on the
For
agenda?
like Tuesday?
Next Tuesday. What day is that on?
If you talk to him, he'll tell you what he's got available and then he can discuss it with
I
you.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you go out?
But I want Bill to talk too.
Why don't you both go down and talk with
I was rolling my eyes there.
We could do that. Do a lot of that.
Okay, well, I'd come along, especially if it,
All right.
I mean, if it's a brief presentation.
Uh,
We've
but
done some work, but we haven't done a lot of work yet.
We're just
There's-
getting into it, you know, and,
So we could, the nature of our report
Just
to
getting
them,
into
I
it.
think, would be, here are a couple of things that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't really have formal recommendations for them yet.
no,
We'd just give them an update as to kind of some of the things we've talked about
our concerns,
in our group.
yeah, clean air.
Sure, I can,
And I would like to see more logging done in this community. We have a lot of
You
logging
could talk about your
families.
meeting that you were planning with the
Yes.
speakers.
Yeah,
I mean, you could,
Yeah.
that'd be good. I'd say a half an hour.
half an hour.
yeah, if we could
It's
cut it to
surprising.
15 minutes, that'd be even
Yeah.
better.
And can we do it in the afternoon? I'm terrible in the morning. Oh, yeah. I am, I'm
You
terrible.
can't go down.
I've got animals
only
to
good.
feed, I mean, I've got livestock to feed.
TMI.
and- Oh, God. Do they let us come in the afternoon too,
You go down and talk to them. You
or?
talk.
Okay.
Up until 3 o'clock. That's
Oh,
when
up
they
till
quit.
3. I'm really good about 1
If
o'clock.
you do it before
I am,
the
I'm terrible.
public
morning
comment
person.
time, in case you wanna go longer, usually you
All
can
right.
go longer.
All right, and that would be next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Whatever Tuesday you want.
Okay.
Sure, and this is sort of in the nature of sort of just an informal summary of things we've been talking
Our
about.
concerns,
That all sounds fine.
Yeah. And we
Okay,
could tell them that we got,
If you want to be on for Tuesday, you have to go down to Mike today
okay, we could do that. We could go see Mike and see.
so he can get it
Probably,
on.
what time do you get out there in the morning?
What's that?
What time do you get there on Tuesdays in the morning?
Well, I get there 8, a little after 8 or
Oh,
8:30, but
All right,
we don't start till 9.
okay.
okay.
Okay, we'll do that.
But like I say, if you do it before the public comment period, if there's nobody else to talk in the comment period, in case you wanna go longer, if you make it 15 minutes before that,
Okay, what time would that be then? That would be,
get, talk to Mike.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, on that note,
Sounds like,
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn for the day.
Second it, that's the one thing I'll second.
okay, sounds good.
That was a
All
good
right.
meeting.
You would say all in favor?
All in favor? See, I know you need to learn that. I'm just,
Yeah.
okay. I'm terrible. I need you to be my voice on that.
Okay, so we're done.
Or you can be my voice in front of the commissioner's office.